In 2016, the African Union Peace and Security Council raised concerns about the increasing number of foreign military bases on the continent and expressed that African countries should be cautious in their dealings with foreign countries regarding the presence of their military bases. At the time, about 13 foreign countries had their military bases spread across the continent, with the United States and France having the highest number of bases. France had an estimated 7,750 military personnel spread across the continent, while the U.S. had a higher figure, spread across 34 known outposts across the northern, western, and Horn regions of Africa. And, from their outposts, these foreign militaries focused primarily on protecting their interests, securing friendly African regimes, projecting their influence amid rising competition among global powers, and countering threats to international peace and security. However, since 2022, some countries have begun to reject the idea of foreign military bases, leading to their withdrawal from these countries. Mali, Burkina Faso, and Niger all kicked out French troops, considerably ending French presence in the Sahel. Recently, Niger kicked out the United States forces, and Chad is also hinting at doing the same. Despite this new trend, some countries in Africa still host foreign military bases for one reason or the other. In this video, we will take a look at 10 African countries with the most foreign military bases. 10. Senegal. Senegal currently hosts military units from both France and the United States. Since its independence, Senegal has been a strategic ally of France, so it's not surprising that it has a military unit in the country. As part of the independence deal signed between France and Senegal, France maintained a permanent military base in Senegal with about 1,200 men based in Dakar. However, in 2010, after much negotiations with the French authorities, France agreed to shut down the military base and pull out its troops stationed in the country. But France did not pull out all its troops. It left about 400 men in the country, which it says provides regional military training. Since 2011, this contingent of soldiers has been known as the French Elements of Senegal, and they supposedly provide military training for West Africa. Similarly, Senegal also hosts the U.S. military base, although there is not much information about it because, as you know, the U.S. likes to keep its operations secret. The only information available is that the U.S. has an Air Force base in Dakar, a base it calls an enduring footprint. How many forces it has and what exactly they do in Senegal is not known, and it's very possible that the Senegalese government and its military do not have access to this information. 9. Seychelles, a beautiful island country in Africa and ranked the richest country in Africa as of 2023, hosts military units from the United States and India. In 2009, the U.S. established a military drone base located at the Seychelles International Airport in Mahé Island, Seychelles. The aerial fleet is made up of General Atomics MQ-9 Reaper drones with a ground team of about 100 men who launch and land the drones, which are operated from the Creech Air Force Base in Nevada and Holloman Air Force Base in New Mexico. According to the U.S. government, the main purpose of the base is to track pirates in the region, but as late as 2011, a senior official said the U.S. had not yet used the drones for that purpose. This means it's been used for another purpose which is not exactly clear. In 2018, the government of Seychelles and India signed an agreement to build and operate a joint military facility on Assumption Island, part of the Seychelles archipelago. However, the base has met with lots of obstacles, including public protests and political opposition. Ghana. In May 2018, Ghana signed the status of force agreement with the United States, which allows its forces to be in the country. This was a month after the president of Ghana, Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, said that Ghana has not offered a military base and will not offer a military base to the United States of America. However, despite what the president said, the United States has established the West Africa Logistics Network, which is another name for a U.S. military base at Kotoka International Airport in Accra, the capital of Ghana. According to reports, the WALN has taken over one of the 3 terminals at the airport in Accra, and at this terminal, hundreds of U.S. soldiers have been seen arriving and leaving, It is suspected that they may be involved in some operational activities in other West African countries and generally across the Sahel. A glance at the US-Ghana military agreement raises concerns because it disregards the sovereignty of Ghana. For instance, Article 12 of the agreement states that the US military can use the Accra airport without any regulations or checks, with US military aircraft being free from boarding and inspection, and the Ghanaian government providing unimpeded access to and use of agreed facilities and areas to United States forces. This means that they do not need passports to enter Ghana. All they need is their US Army identity cards. However, the most shocking part of this arrangement is that if US soldiers kill Ghanaians and destroy their properties, the US soldiers cannot be tried in Ghana. In addition, Ghanaians cannot sue US soldiers or the US government for compensation if and when their relatives are killed or their properties are destroyed by the US Army or soldiers. With all these, one wonders why the Ghanaian government would agree to such terms. 7. Ivory Coast. Ivory Coast is home to one of the two permanent French bases in Africa. Located in the Ivorian capital, the forces took over from Operation Licorne in 2015, which saw several crises in the country, most notably when they were deployed alongside UN troops in 2011 during unrest sparked by President Laurent Gbagbo's refusal to step down after losing an election. Currently, this base hosts about 950 French soldiers and is engaged in training Ivorian soldiers. However, in 2023, France announced that it would begin to cut down its military presence in Africa after Mali kicked them out. Hence, it is set to withdraw its troops from Ivory Coast. But whether that will happen or whether it will actually happen is not known. 6. Kenya. Unlike other African countries that host foreign military, the presence of foreign military in Kenya is not so pronounced. However, the US and UK military forces have a presence in Kenya soil. The British have been in Kenya since independence through bilateral security arrangements. Known as the British Army Training Unit in Kenya, Batuk, the base is a permanent base located north of Nairobi that provides training exercises for soldiers in the Kenya Army. However, their presence has attracted controversies with soldiers accused of rape and murder and civilians maimed by munitions. The United States, on the other hand, has been using Mandabe as a base of operation for years now. In 2006, this base became an airfield with increased personnel, aircraft, and operations. According to the US, this base was set up to train African partners, respond to crises, and of course protect US interests. 5. Somalia. Somalia, a country located in the Horn of Africa, a region of great geographic importance, is home to several foreign bases. The insecurity caused by Islamist jihadists has provided an opportunity for foreign countries to set up their military in the country in the name of helping to combat the insecurity. For decades, the US military already had forces in Somalia, where it carried out operations with other military forces such as the UN. However, the US decided to expand its presence and went ahead to sign a memorandum of understanding with the government of Somalia to construct up to 5 military bases for the Somali National Army in the name of bolstering the Army's capabilities in the ongoing fight against the militant group Al-Shabaab. Aside from the US, Turkey, the UK, and the UN also have their military bases situated in the country. In 2017, Turkey opened its biggest overseas military base in Mogadishu, where it provides training to the Somali military and police. The British Army is also deployed in Somalia to support 4 organizations: the UN, the AU mission in Somalia, the EU, and direct support to the Somali National Army. While these foreign countries say they are in the country to provide peace and stability, the truth is the amount of military bases not only risks further militarizing Somalia and perpetuating endless war, but comes with the potential of exacerbating geopolitical rivalries at the expense of the needs and interests of ordinary Somalis. 4. Libya. After the murder of Muammar Gaddafi in 2011 by NATO, which plunged Libya into chaos and a breeding ground for Islamist jihadists, Libya became a home of foreign military bases. The United States, the United Arab Emirates, Turkey, Italy, and Russia all have military bases in Libya in one form or another. While all these military bases say they are in the country to help stabilize it, the fact is all these countries are simply trying to project their influence across the region, and they have an eye on the country's resources, oil. If it was truly about stabilizing the country, Libya should have been stabilized by now with the amount of military resources each of these countries have. 3. Cameroon, known as Contingency Location Garoua. This United States Army base is located in Garoua, Cameroon, adjacent to Cameroonian Air Force Base 301. The base has approximately 200 personnel at the site and is supposedly used to support military operations against Boko Haram. But one thing that is not clearly stated is that it also provides security for the dictatorship regime of one of the longest-serving presidents in Africa, the President of Cameroon, Paul Biya. 2. Gabon. Since Gabon's independence in 1960, French forces have been stationed in the country as part of the colonial pact signed with all 14 Francophone countries. The forces, officially renamed French Elements in Gabon, EFG, in 2014, are made up of 350 troops, and according to the French Defense Ministry, the EFG includes a land unit located at the Charles de Gaulle camp in the capital, Libreville, and an air unit at the nearby Gipidou Air Base. However, on April 2nd, there was a recommendation by the Gabon's National Dialogue Commissions to close the French military base in the country. Other recommendations include the revision of defense agreements with France and a drastic reduction in the number of new generals in the National Army. It remains to be seen whether these recommendations will be taken by the military government of Gabon. 1. Djibouti. Djibouti is one of the smallest countries in Africa, but has become an international phenomenon because it has the highest number of foreign military bases, which ranges between 8 to 11, depending on who you ask. The most important base, and the oldest, is the French base with about 1,450 forces. The United States also has a base in the country, known as Camp Lemonnier. It is the primary base of operations for U.S. Africa Command in the Horn of Africa with about 4,000 forces. Besides the U.S. and France, China also maintains a naval base. At the same time, other countries such as Germany, Spain, Italy, Britain, Japan, and Turkey are active, either through bases of their own or through French and American bases. This is why the number of bases is kind of complicated. The primary reason why Djibouti attracts this number of foreign military bases is its geographical location at the southern entrance to the Red Sea, acting as a bridge between Africa and the Middle East. Not surprisingly, these military installations are more to advance the interests of their own countries, rather than contributing to Africa's development and security. At least, the government of Djibouti is getting something out of it, including money from leasing land for the bases and security. What do you think about these bases? Let us know in the comments section below. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this video.